Hello, my beautiful baddies. Welcome back to yet another episode of Your Inner Baddie Speaking. We're back on the love letter collection, and this one's all about like loving yourself without distractions, loving yourself in the silence, loving yourself basically when you don't have anything else to kind of cling to, I don't know, to focus on, right? Like you've just got, it's just me, myself, and I, right? No noise, no people, no nothing. And this is kind of hilarious coming from someone like me because I can definitely be like the queen of distractions. Like I have sat on this couch watching a fucking movie, scrolling on my phone. Like I have literally listened and watched TikTok like with the sound on while watching a movie that's playing on my TV, and then I'm also looking around for like other things to entertain myself. Like that's how like ADD I can get. So I definitely didn't have, or at times in life didn't like sit in that silence, right? I never really had periods of just me sitting by myself or me just being with me. And I don't mean that I wasn't ever alone. Like I've had moments where I'm alone. I mean, I live alone, like, but I kind of fill that space, right? I would fill the space. Like I would turn on music. I would put a show on in the background, maybe make a phone call. I mean, like I would do things that would mean that I don't have to sit with my thoughts, or I don't have to sit by myself and just think. Like meditation, not my number one thing. Like I'm still kind of trying to get into the swing of like attempting meditation, because sitting, and I know you're supposed to just observe your thoughts and let them go or whatever, but just sitting still can be difficult, right? So it's hard to clear your mind or sit with who you really are. And I think that's the biggest thing, is like, I don't think I really realized how many distractions I have around myself, or how many things that I do in my day-to-day that actually impacts me just being with me, until I don't have those things going on. And it's very, I guess, eye-opening, right? Like we don't normally just sit with ourselves in absolute silence. It's kind of hard to do that sometimes, especially this day and age. Like you're either, tending to emails, or you're tending to this, or you've got something to do, or you're meeting up with people, or even when you're by yourself, you're entertaining yourself, right? We got Burry spotting right here. We'll see if she comes over. Ooh, hi. So like, I'm used to having distractions. I think we all are. And unless you meditate or you really make space for nothing, you're not used to it. And I definitely wasn't used to it. And I'll even remember like a while ago, back when cell phones, I should say, really started becoming more of a thing, and I was in love with my Motorola Pink Razr. I was obsessed with it. And because I was obsessed with it, we were on this family trip, and I was, looking at my text messages, or like just opening my phone because it was something new. It's like, ooh, new and shiny, right? I want to play with it. And I'll never forget my grandmother saying to me that when you do that around people, when you are engaged with something else, you are basically telling the people around you that you would rather be engaged elsewhere than where you are right now. And I kind of applied that to self-love and sitting in silence. Like, if I am engaging in all of these other things, I'm basically telling myself that I'd rather be doing stuff rather than loving myself in silence, right? And I don't mean that you have to sit in silence to love yourself, like kind of weird, like a little bit of a weird concept, but you get to know yourself on a deeper level when you don't have anything that takes away from who you are or distracts you from what you're thinking or feeling in the moment. I mean, sometimes I don't realize that I'm like tense or I'm stressed until I have a moment where I put down the phone, step away from the laptop. I'm not doing a chore. I'm not being a busybody. And I sit there and I'm like, oh man, today really has been heavy, or today's weighed on me. And I didn't realize that like my shoulders are up to my ear. I mean, sometimes it takes, like I'm brushing my teeth and I'll be like, whoa, why are my shoulders tense? But when I'm brushing my teeth, yeah, that's a distraction, but like I'm not doing anything else except for brushing my teeth. So I'm more focused, right? It's less distractions. And I think that's the same concept with self-love. Like you can pour into yourself and you can do all of these things, but until you sit like 10 seconds of silence, right? Now you have to listen to all of the thoughts that maybe you've put aside, feelings that you've put aside, parts of you that you've, pushed to the side, what have you. It's different to love yourself with no distractions, or even just to be comfortable with no distractions. And I find the more that I love myself, the more that I am comfortable without distractions. Like, for instance, I will go to dinner with a friend, right? At some point, say it's just the two of you, right? You're not in a group. And they get up to go to the bathroom and you're just by yourself at the table. I mean, I've seen it done so many times where you see someone immediately whip out the cell phone, right? Like, I'm going to scroll on Instagram, I'm going to check my texts, like, I'm going to catch up with everything else that's going on, right? And that can make sense in certain scenarios. Like, okay, maybe I was, in the middle of texting a friend and then I started having dinner and now I want to see if there's something to respond to, right? So I can get it. It's not like pulling out your cell phone is evil. But I have done this throughout the years to test myself of just having those few minutes of nothing. I might take a sip of my drink. If the waiter or waitress comes over, obviously I'll engage, but I'll just kind of sit there. Honestly, great people watching. So like, kind of fun, right? But it takes a lot to put down all distractions and not to pick one up. And it gets easier to do that the more that you feel comfortable with yourself, the more that you love yourself. I feel like the easier it is to just be you in any scenario. And you don't have to pick up a book. You don't have to pick up a cell phone. You don't have to talk to somebody. You're comfortable just being. And it's what we're striving for, right? Like, we're striving to love ourselves as we are just being, like as you are. And as much as that might seem like a stretch to make that, comparison, I don't think it is. It really is sitting in yourself and loving yourself and loving your thoughts, loving what comes to mind. I mean, I find that all of my creativity comes out when I have no distractions, which sometimes is, of course, when I'm trying to go to sleep and I gotta grab my phone and write something down so I don't forget in the morning, or all of that activity happens because I don't have any distractions. So imagine when you don't have distractions, how much of what you don't necessarily get all the time is going to pop up and give you the opportunity to love, the opportunity to embrace, the opportunity to see yourself in how you're feeling right now and who you are right now. And maybe it'll spark something that you want to do when you're going to be doing something again, or it'll kind of align with where you're going and who you are and all of that. it really feels like a reset for me. It feels like a grounding period. Being comfortable in the silence and learning how to love myself with nothing going on truly does feel like alignment for me. And I hope that, you get to a place where you feel like you can just be. And that will start setting you for alignment, because everything that comes to my brain when I am in that stillness is stuff that I feel like either I've forgotten, which I forget a lot of things. Sometimes I'm like, my memory, trash, I'm screwed for the rest of my life. Like, I'm gonna need some help later in life. But like, aside from remembering things, I feel like who I am at my core, like when I say my creativity pops up, I feel like that's who I am at my core. I'm a very creative person, but I don't feel as creative when I have 20 other things going on, or when I have a running to-do list in my head, or when I'm out with friends. And sometimes when I'm out with friends, like, we've all been there when you're like, oh, we should like start a business together. We should do this. Like, I'm not saying that creativity can't come out when you are around other things and other people. Like, it definitely can, especially if those people are in alignment with you, right? But it's harder for me to feel all of that or come up with those things when I'm distracted. And I love that side of myself. So I actually love sitting alone. I love unplugging. I love just letting me be so that I can have that creativity rush, because it helps my podcast. It helps, figuring out new topics. It helps with things I want to do. It helps with, just coming up with shit, right? Like, I want this year, since we're like in January and we're all about, New Year's resolutions and all of that, or just finding things that you want to start up, right? I want this year to be filled with creativity. So for me, that means that I have to be even more comfortable in my stillness. I have to be even more comfortable by myself. And as I've learned to love myself, I get better and better at that. That's why I can solo travel. That's why I can go to a bar alone. That's why I can eat dinner, go out for a meal alone. Like, I am comfortable doing things without the distraction of other people, but I'm happy doing things. I could probably just sit in a cafe and sip on a hot chocolate. I'd be happy. I'd people watch for a little bit. I'd let the creativity flow. I'd let maybe the emotions come to light. Anything that I've been thinking or not been able to think about because I've been so busy, let those things come to light. And maybe it'll shed light on things that I want to do in the future, or things I want to align with, or things I want to do better. And I do really feel, just like I feel about solo travel, like, you get to know yourself on a deeper level when you don't have other people there as a crutch. I feel the same thing in the stillness. Like, the more you don't have distractions around you, which is hard in today's world, don't get me wrong, the less distractions you have, the more likely you are to understand who you are at your core, or understand what's going on in your head. I guess it really is, maybe it is a form of meditation that I'm doing. So like, if it is, let me know so I can feel better about myself, because I really didn't think that meditation was my thing. But the more of you that comes to the surface and you get to experience, or you get to feel, or you get to love, and maybe it helps you work through some things. Like, sometimes I need to sit with nothing for me to actually allow myself to feel. Or hack for you, if you're avoiding something but you know you're feeling it, like, let's just say I'm sad, right? Like, I've had a sad week, or I'm feeling sad for some reason. My little hack for you is that I'll put on a movie that I know is going to make me cry, and boom, waterworks. Like, it's coming out, and then suddenly I'm crying about what's actually going on, and then I gotta pause the movie, because then I'm like, okay, I'm in it, let me feel this, let me dive in, right? But that's a hack. But I will say, like, it's easier to shed light on those things when I don't have any distractions, when there's nothing there to fill the space but how I feel, what I'm thinking. And I think there's beauty in that stillness. There's beauty in really figuring out who you are when you don't have anything else to do, when you don't have anything to tend to, when you don't have anything to look at, to compare to, anything. And obviously, you still have things to do. You're still going to go back to, your day or what have you. But when you sit still for those minutes, hour, whatever it is, you figure out a lot. And I want everyone to get to that piece of self-love where you love just sitting with you. That you like the thoughts that run through your head. That you feel in alignment with what's going on, that you let yourself feel whatever you've got to feel and you're happy about feeling it. Even if it's sadness, like sometimes I'm happy to feel sadness or I'm happy to feel anger because that means that I'm allowing myself to feel it so I can let it go. Sometimes that's the beauty of the stillness. It's not that like, oh, I hate that like now it's bringing up the shit that I was avoiding throughout the week, and actually it kind of sucks. Things are a little sad. But now you get to feel it, so you get to release it. Or you discover sitting in silence that maybe your brain works a different way, and you're like, man, I've been tackling life one way. I don't need a to-do list. I work better like this. Or maybe an answer that you've been looking for pops up. Like, you get to experience parts of you that you don't get to when there's other pieces around, when there's other people around. And that's why I really do feel like sitting in stillness is such an important thing, and why I'm so happy that I have progressed to a point where I feel comfortable enough to solo travel. I feel comfortable enough to do things that I want to do without the distractions of either other people, other things. And don't get me wrong, I will bring my Kindle. I love to read, but that's something I love to do, right? So for me, sometimes when I'm reading, thoughts will come up because I'm focused on one thing, I'm focused on reading, but sometimes, we've all done that where you kind of read the same fucking paragraph 6 times in a row because your mind starts to wander. Well, sometimes I'll put the book down and I'll let my mind wander. Where are we going? And then I'll center myself with whatever I need to focus on in the moment. And maybe reading allowed me to be still enough that I can discover those things that I wasn't paying attention to. And so that's what this love letter that I wrote for myself was all about. Enjoying and loving myself without distractions. So this is it. I love how you can sit in silence and still love yourself. I love how not only is that true when you're at home, but when you're out in public too. And that didn't used to be the case. Loneliness was always something that caused you discomfort. And being alone with your thoughts, absolutely unheard of. So much chaos in your head, and unfortunately, it wasn't always positive. So it was incredibly hard to be alone, let alone be alone and love yourself. It seemed easier to love yourself when someone else was around. A crutch of sorts. And be alone in public? Oh, absolutely not. A thought that used to terrify you a whole lot. Because not only did the idea of being alone scare me, but it seemed like I'd never get to a place where I enjoyed my own company out and about. I convinced myself this was only fun when I had others to enjoy it with. But after a gut-wrenching time in my life, I decided to be brave. I decided that the absence of someone would not stop me from living life. Dare I say, having fun. And so I replaced people with my Kindle and decided to go out alone. And now I sit in silence when a friend gets up from the table. Now I enjoy the views from where I am. Now I soak in the company of strangers around me, even striking up conversations. Now I feel gratitude and pride for sitting alone, for being alone, for loving myself alone. I loved you when there was distractions around, but now I love you in the absence of anything else but me to love. I love you in the stillness because that's when I get to feel me, be me, embrace me, and I love that I enjoy that now. Something I touched on in that love letter was that loneliness used to be a trigger for me. My depression used to spike when I felt alone, when I felt lonely, and it was really hard for me to almost like shut off the voices in my head that like I could be okay being alone. And so that's why it's wild for me to sit here and encourage you to sit in stillness and learn to love yourself in that calm, in that still, in that place of no distractions, because I used to fear even just living alone. Like, I didn't want to live alone. I had the opportunity to, and my mom pushed me to, because I remember calling her on the phone and saying, well, what if I get lonely? What if I can't handle it? What if I become depressed or more depressed, you know? And if I didn't have that push, I wouldn't have known that first step of allowing myself to have no distractions of people around me, because it's very hard when you're in a city. Even though, you know, you hear it from a lot of people, it's hard to make friends. Being in a city, you can still feel lonely, but you're around people. You're either around friends or coworkers or people on the metro or just people in general. And then you come home, and if you live with roommates, you're surrounded still. Like, yes, you can retreat to your room, but it doesn't feel like it's just you. And living alone allowed my first experience of what is it like when there's just not distractions of people around, when there's no one else to rely on, to, you know, fill the space, to fill the conversations. And it's not an easy transition. It's not easy to do that. It feels awkward. It feels weird. And it shouldn't, right? It's like, oh, I've been with me my whole life. So like, why would it feel different when there's people and there's not, right? But it does. It very much does. And for me in particular, it was scary. It was scary thinking I felt the need for more distractions in my home because I didn't have someone else. And that was really my first exposure in learning how to do things by myself and to like cooking, cleaning, watching shows, just enjoying things in my own company. And then as you take away distractions, you sit on the couch, take a nap, just sit in stillness, then you start to have no actual distractions, right? Not just people, but no actual distractions. It's like a muscle, right? Like you gotta work it in order to get results. So like you've gotta put in the effort to grow that muscle and have that muscle memory that I can do this. I can sit in that stillness. I can love myself. I can love the thoughts that are coming to my mind. I can deal with the emotions that are coming to me. I can love me for me. I don't need a phone. I don't need Instagram. I don't need a friend to tell me that I'm worthy or that I'm loved, or family to tell me that I'm worthy and I'm loved. I can sit on my own with nothing and know that I am loved, that I love me. And if that's not the most beautiful thing, I don't know what is. And I would do anything to feel that moment again, that first moment when you sit by yourself with absolutely fucking nothing and you love it. It feels weird. It's like, did I really get here? Is this really happening? And then you're like, okay, now it's muscle memory. Now I want to do it again. Now I want to see who I am when there are no distractions. I want to see what I want to do when there's no distractions. I want to know who I am when there's no distractions. And there's no greater way to love yourself than there is to get to know yourself to get there. Like, that is the best possible way to get to know. That is the best possible way to love yourself, is to get to know yourself. And getting to know yourself with no distractions is weird. It's kind of awkward. It's tough. But when you do, that's when you know you love yourself no matter what. You love yourself in the silence, in the stillness. And that's a powerful thing to have. And once you feel that, everything feels like a value add. I don't feel like anything is a distraction anymore. I feel like my friends are a value add. The TV, the shows that I watch are a value add. The books that I read are a value add. What I do is a value add. Because the value is already there. The value in myself is there. The love is there. So everything else is just cherries on top. Or in my case, whipped cream. Because, like, fuck the cherries. It's the whipped cream for me. Like, I love me some whipped cream. But, like, whatever it is for you, it's the fact that now you are whole and everything else is fantastic. Everything else is just like, damn, it's cool to have that too. But it's not going to distract you from loving yourself. And I think that's a very valuable thing for all of us to have. So I hope you take some steps to try out sitting in stillness, sitting in silence, and learn what comes out. Are they feelings? What's it going to be? And eventually, I'm excited for you to find out who you are when there's nothing else around, and loving that portion of you, loving the entirety of who you are. It's such an amazing thing, and I can't wait to hear about how you guys do it and how you feel when it happens for you, because it will happen for you. All right, guys, with that, say it with me. I'm a fucking baddie. All right, love y'all till next time.